This is the laboratory session number 11. What are our goals? First, you will be making your Blue Moose CR record, and then you'll be mounting your 3D printed master casts. For the Blue Moose CR record, this is now your currently wax rims. You've made adjustments according to your mannequin at dimensions of 70 millimeters where your plastic is meeting on the upper and lower member of your mannequin. So now you're ready to make your CR record. Before making your CR record, you need to create room on your wax rim to accommodate your record medium. Here, you'll see that you have several notches, or how we like to call them, V notches. These notches are created in a way that they cannot be parallel to each other. As you can see, it has almost some angles. It doesn't have to be a perfect angle, but they're not parallel. That way, your CR record is locked in your wax rim, making your wax rim stable for mounting. For you to create these V notches, you'll be using your buffalo knife. Heat up your buffalo knife lightly, not too much, so you're able to create these V notches. Here is actually showing you why it's actually called a V notch. It looks like a V. So in profile, the notches should have this V aspect. After creating your V notches, you will be applying Vaseline on the maxillary wax rim. Here I'm showing this outside of the simulator, but you will be doing this on the simulator. I did this just so it's better to visualize so you understand what exactly will you be doing. You will get your blue mousse with a new tip. Make sure you bleed your blue mousse, and you're going to apply over those V notches that you created on your mandibular wax rim. Then you're going to be closing your mannequin completely. And you can see that the blue mousse will actually go into those V notches, locking it in. Then remove it and once your blue mousse is set completely. Once your blue mousse is completely set, you will actually cut the buckle aspect of the blue mousse CR record. This way, I'm going to show you exactly what actually happens, but the lab is actually able to see, and you're able to see clearly, wax rim, record, and wax rim. We don't want any interference or extra blue mousse taking space on the buckle aspect of your wax rims. We want that area to be very clean and very clear visualization between your rims and the blue mousse per se. Here you can see exactly what I mean. you can actually see rim, blue mousse, and rim. There is no extra blue mousse covering those areas. Here's another way that I explain this. Here you can see what the ideal situation is, where you can see clearly your wax rim and your blue mousse filled in on your notches. Here is what you don't want. You don't want extra material flowing, and you cannot see that the blue mousse is filled in completely those notches. That's why we cut the buccal aspect of your blue mousse CR record. Now for the Facebook transfer. I want to be clear that I've posted Dr. Batoli's lecture on Facebook. I recommend that you review the lecture, make sure you understand, because I won't be teaching that again. That is something that was already taught to you. Now we're actually just applying and adapting the Facebook transfer to an edentulous case. The concept is still the same. Remember that your wax rim is the incisal edge of a teeth. So the measurements that you have to do for you to get your third point of reference on your Facebook transfer is actually the edge of your wax rim. So consider the edge of your maxillary wax rim the edge of your incisal teeth, like you would do for a dentate patient. It's important that you actually mark your midline on your wax rim. So make sure that you're following your mannequin and your simulator midline, facial midline. You will do the same thing on a real patient. You will also be marking the canine. Take as an example where the screw of your simulator starts. That would be very similar to where the canine line would be. And transfer that over to your wax rim. Positioning the fork can be tricky, especially with a wax rim. You can do this outside of the mannequin, but I actually recommend that you do it in the mannequin with your mannequin on the simulator for you to kind of get an experience what that feels like, because that's what you will be doing on a patient. What is necessary here is that where you marked your midline on your wax rim is matching the fork's midline. What's also important that the way that the arch of the fork also kind of is completely positioned over your wax rims laterally. Sometimes when this is done outside of the mouth, it's malpositioned or it's matching the midline, but the bite fork is not completely over the top of the wax rim. It's almost like rotated in a manner. So it's important that you try this in on the mannequin, on the simulator, so you have an idea what that feels like doing that clinically. Here is a view where you can see me doing this, trying to position that fork and practicing how I'm going to place my blue mousse and then my fork so I know exactly how to position my fork. Here I'm matching the midline, but I'm also paying attention to the wax rim posteriorly so the fork is completely on top of the wax rim. Here I place the blue mousse outside so you can actually see what to expect. So here the midline is matching and the fork is touching completely the wax rim. So this is what it would look like on a real patient, where your earpiece of your face bow is attached to the inner ear of your patient. You have your third point of reference of your face bow. You have it matching the interpupillary line. You're holding the bite fork over the rim. It's in the patient's mouth, your record base, and you're stabilizing that and you're locking in at that angle. Now, one thing that will happen when you do this on your mannequin, I know it was an expectation that you would remove your hands from the face bow to make sure it's steady. I do not recommend you do this on an edentulous patient. Your record base can fall off and then your face bow is falling off. So don't attempt to do this. You'll just have your record base dislodged from your mannequin. One of the things that if this is the ideal situation and your patient is like this, that's fine. But one thing I want you to pay attention is your mounting plate on your Dana 310 articulator is positioned in a way that is a little bit more farther back when it comes to the Facebook transfer of the mannequin. So it creates a really anteriorly positioned um, cast or mounting, and that's fine. If it's a real patient, it is what it is. What I'm trying to do this in the preclinical course, we're going to have to do a modification just for an easier mounting for you and for you to actually create your lab assignment a little bit better. So we're going to make a correction because the mannequin, when we do the face bow on a mannequin, it created a very anteriorly positioned cast when we place it on the articulator. So we're going to kind of avoid this just so we can bring your 3D printed cast a little bit more posteriorly so it kind of aligns more with your mounting plate. But again, this is a modification only for preclinical. Again, this next modification that I will tell you, it's only for preclinical. You do not do this on a real patient. So if your patient is just similar like your mannequin where I showed you before, it is what it is, and you're going to be mounting it that way. So just for the dimensions of your mannequin and for cleaner mounting for the lab assignment, we're going to do this modification. So what is the modification? And this, I will tell you, it's a little bit challenging. I highly recommend that you pair up for you to do your Facebook transfer properly because now your earpiece is going to be in the middle of the tragus. This is going to bring the Facebook a little bit more interiorly, okay? So the earpiece should touch the middle of the tragus of your simulator. So here you can see the left earpiece and the right earpiece where it's touching the middle of the tragus. So to stabilize at this position can be really hard if you're doing alone. So do pair up so you can help each other so you can get a more interiorly positioned face bow to mount it more interiorly, more posteriorly actually. So now after that modification, your 3D printed cast is right below your mounting plate. Better, cleaner, it'll be easier for your lab assignment. So mounting your maxillary 3D printed cast. So here you can see that we filled in completely with mounting stone. You're going to be using 1 packet of mounting stone for you to mount your maxillary. So you placed your wrecker base, you placed your 3D printed cast, and you can see that it's hollow. You're going to fill in completely with mounting stone. 1 packet is going to be enough for you to fill in that hollow portion of your 3D printed cast, and it will also build up until it touches your mounting plate. How will you be mounting your mandibular 3D printed cast? One of the things that you probably already noticed, your mandibular is a horseshoe. It's not a full, completely filled in tongue area space. So we need to fill that in so you can actually mount this properly without being too messy. Imagine if we don't block this out and adding mounting stone, it's going to overflow in your vestibule and it's going to be a huge mess. So this is what you will do. You will get boxing wax and you're going to place it underneath your mandibular 3D printed cast. Then you're going to scribe what would be the internal part of your mandibular 3D printed cast. Scribe it all the way through. Then you have a scribe now. You have an idea what the dimensions are, but then you're going to cut about 4 millimeters beyond that. Okay. Then you're going to place that little strip of boxing wax on the inside from the hollow part of your 3D printed cast, not from where the vestibules are because you're going to create a volume there. So instead, you're going to flip it over where you see the hollow part of your 3D printed cast, and you're going to block it out and glue it, kind of glue it and press it through, and it will melt a little bit, your boxing wax. I want to check, there was an order for the adjustable incisal table for your class. Please go back to your supply kits and see if you can find this. There may have been some issues with the ordering of this, so I want to make sure you guys have it. If you don't, it's okay. We'll do a modification. But the next photos are shown with the adjustable incisal table. So this is a black table. You should have a flat one, which is the white. This is a black adjustable incisal table, and it will actually adjust the wings on the incisal table. So make sure you have this. Get it for this exercise. I know I've requested to be ordered, but if you don't have it, I really need to know. Okay? Okay, so now we flip the articulator over. As you can see, your casts need to be stable. And this also can be tricky. I highly recommend that you stabilize both your maxillary and your mandibular 3D printed cast with the wax shrimps. Do it with another classmate. So pair up for you to do this. Here I have some Q-tips that I broke up, and it's locking in 3 points. So here you can see posteriorly, there's another Q-tip on the other side, and there's one anteriorly. And you can lock them in with sticky wax, okay? So one thing to keep in mind with conventional dentures, and when you do your CR record with Blue Moose, there is a tendency that your rims are slightly open. They're not usually touching during a CR record. So for us to compensate that opening, we're going to open the pin 1 millimeter. Okay, once you're finishing mounting and you've dressed up your your casts and you remove your CR record, you're going to change the pin and it will go back to 0. Okay. For the mounting of the mandibular 3D printed cast, you will need 2 mounting stone packets. It's a little bit larger in height compared to the maxillary, and since you will have to fill in the hollow portion of your 3D printed cast, you're going to need a little bit more of mounting stone. So have 2 packets of mounting stones on the mandibular. So once your mounting stone on mandibular is cool, you can remove and take away the boxing wax. It should be a clean removal. No messy. It's not messy at all. Okay? So one of the things is you use sticky wax. It's nice to use sticky wax on these 3D printed casts because it's so easy to clean them off afterwards. You'll be using your handout torch and you're going to melt away the areas where you have sticky wax, and you're going to clean up with a 2x2 gauze, and it will be brand new again. Now you've mounted your mandibular, now it's time to dress up your casts. This is the final result after dressing your maxillary and your mandibular casts. Here's a tip. You can apply Vaseline on your 3D printed cast and your mounting plate. When you're ready to dress your cast with a second layer of mounting stone, before you do that, apply the Vaseline. So when you do apply your mounting stone, you can clean up the area, both of your cast and your mounting plate, to remove any stone that's on those areas. So you don't get any stone on the vestibules of your 3D printed cast. You don't get any stone on your mounting plate. So when you apply the Vaseline, it creates a barrier for your mounting stone. So before dressing up, making sure that you apply that Vaseline on those both areas, and then you can add your mounting stone, and then it's easily to be removed any mounting stone from those areas. Now it's a clean work for you. Here's the final result. So the pin now is at 0. We've removed the CR record. Now we can modify the pin back to 0 and we're set. Everything's dressed and clean and ready for the next lab assignment.